you know,
Yeah.
vice versa.
Well, I mean, there's a big thing where it's like people have expectations that they themselves don't even fully realize. Like they have expectations just because when they were growing up, they're things that they thought they should believe in, and they're not things that are actually true. So when you go into the idea of like, what does it mean to be a man? And like, what does it mean to be a woman? And like today's culture, whatever context you want to put it in. And I think a lot of it is stripping back the expectations that we had to grow up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, poetry and like nature and like all this other shit
Those are
now.
all feminine things.
Quote unquote
yeah.
feminine things. And I'm like,
it's
no,
not.
like there's something therapeutic about going on a walk in the woods. There's something therapeutic about reading a sentence that just hits really hard.
How did poetry ever get? I don't get that. Like, at what point were they like, "Fuck, reading? Ooh, that's a woman thing." Like, I
Well,
thought we can't read. Like, wasn't that the whole
back
thing
in the
back
day,
then? Like,
like
we weren't allowed to do
Marcus
anything.
Aurelius and like Aristotle, like all these great philosophers, like were poets and like Shakespeare. Like, but back then, you know, guys were like, if I'm right, I think guys wore makeup a lot more back then. Like, it was a very traditional thing to do, is like have white faces and like a lot of foundation, big hair, and that's one thing I like to do is I like to give context to today's standards and be like, all right, let's look at history and what other civilizations have done and has been normal, and what we consider normal now has been normal to someone else in a past tense, and their normal is extremely weird to us. So we can only imagine that our normal now is going to be extremely weird to somebody else in the future.